So let's look at a sample question for two-dimensional array operation. The question asks us to write a program that creates a two-dimensional array, initialized with test data. Using a primitive data type, we will choose integer that you wish. The program should have the following method: get total, get average, get row total, get column total, get highest in row, and get lowest in row. So these operations, we have done these for a one-dimensional array, all of them. Let's see how we will implement these to a two-dimensional array. So here is a sample example of two-dimensional array. Right now, I'm only drawing the first 3 rows and the 4 columns. But if we want to calculate the total, what are we going to do? We are going to set up a running total first, which will be 0 at the beginning. Then we will go through each and every element inside this array. So what we are going to do for each row, then we will do a for each column, in which we will have a running total. We will have a running total add up. So this is the simple, and the get average is similar. Basically, you are going to get the running total and divide it by the total element count. So let me clean up this. Oh, no wonder. I was pressing the wrong button. So the row total and the column total and the get highest in row and the lowest in row, these 3 are actually similar. Get row total, get highest in row, and get lowest in row, because they are all operating on each rows. This row, this row, or this row, each row is an operation row by row, and the result will also be an array. Should be some kind of array. One element pointing to this row, one element pointing to this row, and one element pointing to this row, and so on and so forth. So the result of these get row total, get highest in row, get lowest row will be a array. The size of the array will be the number of rows. Similarly, if you want to calculate for each column, the total column, if either it's the total or the highest, you are basically creating a array with which is the length is the same as number of columns, and each element pointing into one column. So element 0 pointing to column 0, element 1 pointing to column 1, element 2 pointing to column 2. Similarly, 1, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. So these are what we are looking for, and we're going to add some words to it. Get total and get average, these will be just integer, because we choose integer, so it will be integer. Right. And the get row total will be int array, and the size of the array will be the same as get row total. And the rest, the size of the array will be the number of rows. Let me just minimize this. So let's create the class assignment 8 to the array as always, Java doc, but this time I'm only going to copy the first paragraph for the class. All right, then we're going to create a public static void main method, string array, oops, args, and now we will add a bunch of array elements, methods. And all these should be, I'm going to create those one by one. They are all going to be public static. Public static, public static, public static, integer. Okay, now I'm going to copy this and create the method, which will bring in a two-dimensional array. Let's call it ARR. And now we are going to do a okay, so we have this public static int average, get average. I think I missed the get total actually. So I'm going to copy this here, but pretty much it will be the same except for the name. And I'm going to move this forward, reduce the indentation. And why am I losing? Will be return the total. So we have two arrays defined. The rest I'm going to handle later. So I'm going to use a comment to comment it out. But as for two-dimensional array, a running total issue will always bring us as the integer running total equals to 0. Right. Then we will do a for loop. And in fact, because it's a dimensional, two-dimensional array, it will be as a nested loop. So you will do, let me do this, see. Let me remove all these scribbles. So you will do this one loop, two loop, three loops again and again. So these are two levels of loops for int j equals to 0. Oh, I need to do I equals to 0 first. I less than array.length. Now array.length is the size, is the number of rows of this array. For each row, j less than array I.length. Array I.length is the size of this current row. This array.length is the number of rows, and array I.length is the size of this row. So inside each row, we're going to do a running total plus equals to array I, j. And eventually we will return running total. Right. We can also create another method called, although not required, called get total elements, which will calculate the count of elements, because as we said, array may be a ragged array, which means some rows may not have the same number of columns as others. So we will have a get total elements and return the total number of all the elements in the array. We will also do a count. This will be total elements. And here, we will have this total elements plus equals to arri.length. So you are adding the length of each row and get the total number of the length of the whole array. And eventually we will return total elements. So once you have this total elements, get total elements and get total available, it's actually easy to return this, to get the return average, because all you need to do is ARR divided by get total of ARR. Oh, I think I get it wrong. It should be the other way around. All right, so this is the get average, get the total, and get total elements.